Well, welcome to the channel. Thank you for coming in. Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist, Gosford, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Last lesson. And press like if you come in and comment, leave me your experiences, if you please, to build this channel, build this community. Despite their desires, the lazy will come to ruin. Despite what their desires are doing, the narcissist, the sinful person, will come to ruin. They know ruin's up ahead, but their desires are more important. This is what we learned in our last lesson. The narcissist's need for supply and the consequences of what happens to them because of that supply leads them to ruin. I've got mates at the gym that come in, oh, we got out on the cocaine and I met this girl, and did you ever see her again? No, I don't care about her. I don't want to see her again. These people end up in ruin, but they get their desire. It's all about supply at that time. These people are earthly, soulish, and demonic, the Bible says. Their laziness towards their morality leads them vulnerable to ruin. Okay, these people are mockers, proud, haughty, and have boundless arrogance. Their arrogance ruins them. They stray from common sense because of their arrogance and haughtiness and mockery. They just stray completely. They deceive themselves and end up in the company with people that are ruined. The ruin ruin the ruin. They just ruin. One ruin leads to another. They ruin their children. They ruin their finances. No. And they don't learn. For some strange reason, they just don't learn. You could have met one of these people, and you could be the only source of reason and light that's ever come into their life. But have you got the courage to lose the relationship, to tell them what the problem actually is? I'm not going to be abused by triangulation. I'm not going to be abused by emotional starvation. And you walk away. Too many of you people have stayed in relationships with these narcissists, covert narcissists, for way too long. Why? Because you're not prepared to be able to come to terms with yourself either. You have to be able to enjoy yourself before you can enjoy somebody else, in terms of peace, serenity, mindfulness, and all those things, contentment. So when you meet a narcissist and they're in their mockery and pride and haughtiness with boundless arrogance, and straying from common sense at your expense, right, leading you along to being part of the company of the dead, not giving you the joy of justice within your relationship to get things right because they're terrified of it. They don't want commitment. They'll hang around as exclusive. But there's no commitment. There's no real emotional connection or involvement. It's all about supply. How long are you going to give them their supply? And while you think you're building a relationship with this person, they're just ruining themselves like they've done in the past. They're not building a relationship with you. It's based on your performance and your supply. And once they get tired of you or sick of you or your performance falls down, they find other forms of supply. These people could have a men's night out, right? And they get friendly with one of the men. They'll accommodate that form of supply. It's not about homosexuality or lesbianism or anything. There's no morality when it comes to the desire. The desire instinct, the evil instinct outweighs all morality and integrity. It's about that desire at that time, regardless of the consequences. That's the chameleonized nature of the sinful nature and the narcissist. They won't do and can't do the personal work. There's just some kind of ignorance along with the arrogance that's boundless that doesn't help them to come out of their stupor. And they end up with people that are the same. They're all just ruining one another. And you might think it's a joke. It's not a joke. These people had all the potential in the world. Some of them had million-dollar homes and great marriages and the potential for their children to be smart and wise. But their desires and their laziness towards morality and integrity, right, because their desires were more important, led them to ruin. They ruined themselves. They ruined their marriage. They ruined their finances. Because this can creep out into drugs and drug use and drug addiction, and all based around their sinful desires, their evil desires, their supply. I need my supply, and I'll do whatever I have to get that sensation. I'm speaking to somebody out there, aren't I? They're immorally and lazy. Their desire has all the strength. And despite what these desires do to them, and they know what they do to them, they just continue on the path to ruin. That's what the narcissist does. They will not, even though they're conscious of it, they don't do the work. They don't do the psychological reformation. They just follow their desires. Everything is about their desires. That's why they're mockers and they're proud, they're haughty, and there's no boundaries in their arrogance and ignorance. They're just at the mercy of their desires, good, bad, or otherwise. I've seen it, I've lived it, I've watched it, I've walked away from it. And every single time, one way or another, these people have come to ruin. Because they will not do, they refuse to do the psychological work. I've had situations where the resolve was so simple. So simple. So simple. The relationship pumping. Full of supply. They were full of supply. All the supply they could ever want. Tenfold. But their narcissism would not let them bring resolve. Sometimes it's triangulated where there's a family member and they just can't, they just won't bring it into order because they're getting an emotional supply out of the family member, and that's more important than the relationship. And in some cases, they might be getting more than that. A lot of these people sleep with their mothers and fathers and things. To what extent, I'm not suggesting, but who knows? If they're in a relationship, healthy relationship, and the control and manipulation of the adult child, son or daughter, is more important than the relationship, then there's more going on than what you're aware of, be it emotional and physical. There is more going on than what we're prepared to accept. And they lose their relationship. People won't tolerate it. And that's exactly what they want. They want the control to be within the emotional incest. But I'm not going to start that. Or within the triangulation. There, I'll generalize it. Within the triangulation. And the triangulation will ruin the relationship. Many of you that are listening to this have experienced this. You've seen it. You've seen the triangulation destroy your relationship. You've watched it. You've watched the golden child just sulk and sook and put on jealous acts until you're run away. You're run out. No. You've got to wake up to all this stuff that's going on out there. It's happening every day. And as soon as you identify you're in with a group like this, you have to get out. You leave. You go through into no contact. They can go find supply somewhere else. There's stacks of supply. You can get on the dating sites and get with all the predators and dysfunctional people whenever you want. There's stacks of them, all sorts. You know, don't go through the agony of what these people can do to you. It's not a relationship. You are just a form of supply. That's all you are. And that's just, we haven't got to the next verse. It's such a deep part of the narcissism, despite the consequences of their desires. Right? The narcissism who's within them, the laziness towards morality and integrity, which builds things in life and prevents ruin, is irrelevant. They just go straight on down to ruin. And they think they can take... I've said to my partners that have gone into narcissism, I said, you can't. You're not strong enough to ruin me. And they don't even know what you're talking about. In the soul, but in the spirit they do, because there's spirits working in them to try and bring you down to where they are. But when you're aware of all this, when you have the wisdom, you conquer the city of the narcissist and you level the fortress in which they trust. And the fortress in which they trust is your ignorance. But if you're aware of how these people work, once they try and bung on the devalue system where they're just draining you of supply and emotionally starving you, and they've got all their unresolved and things manifesting all around you, and you got yourself and your family members are standing there going, what the hell are these people trying to do? You just watch, just see, and then when it's time, you tell them to go. They've made a complete fool of themselves. They've made mockeries of themselves. And they're just off on their ruin somewhere else. We'll have to come to verse 26 in the next talk. Sorry about that, viewers, but that's such a powerful verse. Proverbs 21 and verse 25, for those that want to look it up. I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist. Thank you for joining me, and bye for now.